Hello everyone. In this video, we will look about the section B, that is a Java programming. It starts from the chapter 5, objects and classes. In the previous 3 years, you have studied about the basic things or fundamental of Java programming. So this video is a revision of that programming language. So first of all, we are starting with the term object. All of you know well what is an object. It is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and behavior. Example, car, fan, book, student, these all are objects. So it is an identifiable entity having some characteristics and behavior. Characteristics in the sense it is represented as attribute or representing in the variables. Behavior means it's a function of that particular object. Then what is a class? Class is a blueprint of an object. Object is an instance of a class. So when we are considering an object, different features of objects are there, mainly 4 features. First one is the identity. Identity means it is a name by which an object is recognized. Example, we are just telling a book. It has an identity like that. It is a name, unique name by which an object is recognized. Second one is attributes. That means the variables or the data related to that particular object. Third one is the method or behavior. The property or the function of that particular object is represented by the methods. Fourth one is a state. The object may be in any state, that is either processed or unprocessed. For example, computer may be in any state like on or off, or it is out of order state, like this state. So these are the features of an object. Then, so what is an object and what is a class? Object is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and behavior. Class means it is a blueprint of an object, and object is an instance of a class. And these are the different features of objects. The next one is the object-oriented principle. There are mainly 4 object-oriented principles are there: data abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. First one is the data abstraction. This is the act of representing essential features of an object without knowing the background details. We don't want to know about the background details, just we need to know about the essential features of an object. That is representing by the term abstraction, or it is the principle abstraction. So the second one is encapsulation. It is wrapping up of data and its associated function into a single unit, is known as encapsulation. It is a way of implementing data abstraction. So by encapsulation or through encapsulation, it is a way of implementing the data abstraction. So is class an encapsulated one? Is an object encapsulated one? Yes, because a class consists of a class. Inside the class we are declaring the attributes and methods. So it is an encapsulated one. So we can tell wrapping above the data. Data is representing by the variables in terms of class, and its associated function in the sense methods into a single unit, it is known as encapsulation. So class is an encapsulated one, as well as object is also an encapsulated one. The next one, inheritance. That is the method of inheriting the properties of one class from other class, or it is deriving the properties of one class from other class, is known as inheritance. It has 2 classes, 2 terms are there that all of you know. One is superclass, another one is subclass. So parent class or superclass or base class, and next one is the child class or subclass or derived class. So these are the 2 terms indicated in this inheritance properties or inheritance principle. So the class which inherits its own property is known as superclass or base class. The class which inherits another class is known as subclass. So what is subclass? The class which inherits another class, or class which inherits superclass, is known as subclass. Other name of subclass is derived class or child class. And the fourth one is polymorphism. Polymorphism means many forms. So it is the ability of representing a thing or an object in more than one form. That principle is known as polymorphism. Okay, next just check the syntax on creating a class. So all of you know how to write a class. How we will start? Class is the keyword we will use. Then class name will be there. Is it? Yeah, same here. Syntax: access specifier, modifier, class is a keyword, then class name, then curly braces. Inside this we will declare the variable, method, everything we will do inside this class braces. So when we are creating the class, when we are writing this is the syntax or creating class. So next, creating object. How to create an object? The syntax for creating object: class name, object name equal to new class name of. So we will use a keyword or an operator known as new. It is using to create an object. So here this is a class name, this is an object name, that is an identifier. Class name of, that means the same class name, method having same class name, so it is known as a constructor. So constructor means a method having same class name, then it is known as a constructor. The use of constructor means it initialize the object. So here the access specifier, in the sense access specifiers are, actually there are 4 types of access specifiers, mainly 3 types of access specifiers. What do you mean by access specifiers? The specifiers that controls the execution of members of a class. That means accessibility modes or access levels is known as access specifiers. There are mainly 3 types. First one is the private, public, protected. Private means it is a keyword wherever we have declared in that particular scope or range, we can access that particular variable or method. Example: private members are accessible only by the method within a class and not by any subclass or outside the class where it is declared. Where it has declared, only to that particular block or scope or range we can access. Outside of that we can't access. That is known as private access specifier. Public, in the sense public can access outside the class, outside the package, anywhere. That is public one. Protected, in the sense we can access to the subclasses also. That is the case of protected. Subclass comes under the inheritance properties, is it? Yeah, so protected means protected members are accessible within the class member as well as other classes which is inherited by this class, that is the subclass. In the subclass also we can access, that is the meaning of, or where that is the use of protected. And in the absence of access specifier, that means we are just writing a class without any access specifier means, then it will treat as a default one. Here default is not a keyword, or it's not a keyword. In this case, declared members are accessible within the class and not by any other subclass. So these are the different access specifiers. Then modifier, in the sense static, final, these are the keyword, these are different types of modifier. Like static means only can access to by static method or static class, like that concepts are there. Yeah, that is known as modifier. So access specifier, modifier are optional here. It's a compulsory one. Class keyword should be there, class name should be there. These two are the compulsory one. These two are access specifier and modifier are optional. So just look an example. Here we have created a class name, class without any access specifier and modifier. Class name is class is the keyword, class name is student. Inside that open the braces, we have declared 3 variables and 1 method. So first one is the integer roll number, float, mark, string name. These are the 3 variables. So these variables means in the sense of attributes, is it? The next one, void read off. This is the behavior, that is the method we have declared inside a class. So how to create an object for this class? Class name is student. Object name is S. So how will you create student? S equal to new student of. So all of you know student is the class name. Actually this student is the class name and S is the object name we have created, and new is the operator. New operator is used to create a new object or initializing or allocating space for that object. Then student of means this is a method, is it? This brackets indicating that is a method. So this is a method having same class name. So this is a constructor here. Each object declaration statement has 3 parts. Here I have taken an example of employee as a class name. So employee emp equal to new employee of. This is the way of we are constructing or creating new objects. So each object declaration statement has 3 steps. First one is the declaration part. Second one is the instantiation part. Third one is the initialization part. So declaration part, in that declaration part, that is this one, we are assigning a object name. This is known as the declaration part. You can declare like this also. Yeah, this here, it's here. You can declare in another way, employee E semicolon. This is the declaration part. So next one, instantiation. Instantiation means using the new operator, it creates the new object. That means it allocates space for that particular object. That is the use of new keyword, and that process is known as instantiation. Third one is the initialization. The new operator is followed by a call to a constructor. So this is a constructor. We know that this is a constructor. So the constructor initializes the new object. So initialization is the third process. So 3 steps are there for declaring or creating an object or in the object declaration statement. What are they? First one is the declaration, second one is the instantiation, third one is the initialization. Declaration means we are just declaring an object name. Then using the new operator, instantiation process means it allocates space for the particular object. Employee of means that is the third step. It is a constructor. That is the initialization. Constructor means it is used to initialize. The function of constructor is to initializes the new object. So these are the 3 steps. Another one example. This is a default constructor. Constructor means 2 types of constructors are there. One is parameter constructor, another one is the default one, non-parameter. Default and parameter constructor. The first example, that is known as default constructor. This is the second example, employee emp1 equal to new employee of 500. That means this is a parameterized constructor. The next one, static and instance variable. 2 types of variables are there. One is static, another one is the instance variable. The same are not only variable, methods also. So we can tell 2 types of members are there. In a class, we can consider 2 types of members. What are they? One is static, another one is instance. 2. Okay. So static methods can access static members. This is one point. Static methods can access static members. Members in the sense it may be a variable or a static method. And static method can access non-static or instance variables using object through dot operator. Without this, we can't access the static to non-static. That's why you remember that public static void main of. In that program, always you will maximum time. If you are writing a consider public static void main of. This is main method we have written as a class method. Static is otherwise known as class. Okay, static is otherwise known as class. That is class variable or class method we will represent. If the keyword static is there in a particular method or variable, then it is represented as a class variable or static variable. In the method it is represented means it is a static method or a class method. So inside the public static void main. So here it is a static method. Another one method example, void read of. Just as an example I am just writing here, void read of. In this is a non-static, is it? Just imagine this is a non-static or instance variable, instance method. This instance method cannot be accessed directly through this main method because main method having a keyword static, that's why it becomes a class method. Sorry, it becomes a class method. Okay, so it becomes a class method or a static method. There is an important rule, that means static methods can access non-static or instance members using object through the dot operator. That means we can't access directly like static to static we can't access, but we can access through the object using the dot operator. For this we will create an object for the class. Example, this class name is student, means we will create an object student is equal to new student of, just to consider like that. Okay, an example, we are writing a program of class name having student. So we have created an object as. How will you access this non-static to static method? Using the object name, using and through the dot operator. So s dot read of. This is the way we have to access. So these are the 3 members, different types of members. What are the different types of members in a class? These are the instance members and static members. Instant members in the sense it may be variable or method. Static means with a keyword static is there means that is a static member. Other name of static is known as class. So when you are writing a program, any class or any method, you can write the access specifier. Is it public void read off? Otherwise you will write, you can write like this, is it? Yeah, this is indicating the public access specifier. The next one is the private. Consider this as void, okay? Or same private void read off. This is indicating this is a private one only to the particular class where we have defined there only we can access. Then one is the protected one, protected keyword. The same we can write this one. Protected means we can access to the subclasses also, the same class and subclasses also, and these three are the actual keywords we are using. And without any access specifier, that means like void read off we are writing, means how it will treat it is considered as a default one. But be sure and don't mention here default, don't mention. Actually it is not a keyword, it will treat as a default one. Compiler will treat it as a default one. That means it can access to that particular class or the method itself. Okay, these are the different access specifier. I forgot to tell these examples in that particular session. That's why here. So here in this one, we are just checking, or we are just discussing about the steps of object declaration statements. Declaration, instantiation and initialization, and each one have to be very clear. Then static methods and non-static methods. Non-static in the sense it is known as instance members, and instance members can access only through that object using the dot operator in that static method. So these are comes under the first fifth chapter. Okay, here when must a variable can be accessed through an object reference using the dot operator? Yes, just now we have discussed variables must be accessed through an object reference using the dot operator if they are instance variables or instance method. That means they are non-static members of a class. Okay, then, and in the case of instance variable means when we are declaring a variable as an instance variable, each object has its own copies of the class. But in the case of static means it will act as a common one. Only one is there. It will act as a common copy. Static variable means all the objects of that class shares these variables because only a single copy of this variable is available in the memory. So it will act as a common one. Only one copy is there. That copy is shared for this all the objects whatever we are creating. But in the case of instance, how many objects we are creating, according to that it has its own copies. So we can tell many objects of a class are available as many copies of instance variable will be available in the memory. Okay, so these are the chapter 5. Next we will move to the chapter 6. So here chapter 6 and 7 together. So first of all we will start with the Java character set. Java character set. It is a set of valid characters that a language can recognize. That means a character represents any letter, digit or any other sign. So Java uses the Unicode character set. Unicode means it is a 2-byte character code that has character representing almost all characters in almost all language, all human alphabets. That is example English, Chinese, Hindi, like this different languages, characters are included in this Unicode character set. So Unicode character set is a 2-byte character code used for internal representation of characters and strings. It uses 16 bits to represent each other. 2-byte means how many bits? 16 bits. Okay, so the next one is tokens, Java tokens. Tokens means that is the simplest or smallest individual units in a program is known as Java tokens or token. So Java program means it's a collection of various tokens. Is it? Mainly we have divided the tokens into 5 types. First one is that, first one is a keyword. Keyword means it gives special meaning to the compiler. These are reserved for special purpose and must not be used as a normal identifier names. Example, this keywords example int, void, class, public, these are the keywords. So it is a reserved words. It is reserved words, it's having special meaning to the compiler. So the second one is the identifiers. Identifiers means they are the fundamental building blocks of program and are used as general terminology for the names given to the different parts like variable name, class name, method name, object name. So these are identifiers. The names given by the programmer, these are indicated by the identifiers. So when we are writing the identifier, it has some rules. We have to follow it strictly. Identifier forming rules. First one, it can have alphabets, digits, underscore, dollar sign. Underscore we can use, dollar sign we can use, alphabets we can use, then digits also we can use. So identifier consists of these all. It can have alphabets, digits, underscore and dollar sign. These are allowed. Must not be a keyword or any boolean literal like true or false we can consider, or null literal. And it must not begin with a digit. We are writing a value, variable name 1, 2, 3. Is it valid one or not? Invalid one, because it has started with a digit. So it is invalid one. And it can be of any length. It is case sensitive. Java is case sensitive. What do you mean by case sensitive? It will treat lowercase letters and uppercase letter indifferent. Is it? Both are not, sorry, it will treat it as different words or different identifier. That is Java case sensitive. Java is case sensitive, that is uppercase letters and lowercase letters are treated differently. So when we are writing an identifier, the rules we have to follow. First one, it can have alphabets, digits, underscore and dollar sign, but it doesn't start with a digit. It can be of any length and they must not be a keyword or boolean literal or null literal. So these are the 5 points. All of you have to remember these 5 points when we are writing an identifier. Identifier means that are the building blocks of, fundamental building blocks of a program. That is a general terminology for the names like class names, object name, variable name, method name. These are written by the user. Okay. So the third one is literals. Literals is sometimes referred as constants. They are the data items having fixed data value. It doesn't change, is it? It has a fixed value. That is known as literals. It allows different types of literals. Mainly 4 types of literals are there. First one is the numeric literal. Sorry, minute. First one, mainly 4 types are there. Numeric one, first one is the numeric literals. Second is the non-numeric literals. Third one is the boolean literal. Fourth one is the null literal. Numeric is again classified into 2 types, integer literal and real literal or floating point literals. And non-numeric is classified into 2 types. First one is a character literal and second one is the string literal. Boolean, in the sense we know boolean means yes or no answers, that is true or false. Null is represented by this escape sequence /0. So here integer literal means it consists of integer data value. Floating point literal means it consists of floating values. In character and string, you have to remember character is always enclosed within single quotes and string is enclosed within double quotes. String may consist of more than one character like CD, this is also string. But single character also it is allowed, but within the double quotes means it is considered a string and single quotes means it is considered as character. So can we consider this as a character? Yes, because it is not considered as digit. Inside single quotes means it treats as a character literal. Okay, that's why this is a character literal. So the fourth one is separators. These are the different separators we are using in the programs. First one is the braces that when we are writing a class or when we are opening a method, we will open the braces like this. Is it? This is opening braces, it's indicating that one. Brackets, parenthesis means it is indicating the methods. Square bracket is indicating the arrays, declaration of array, creation of arrays, accessing arrays. Comma is as a separator we are using multiple initialization we need. In the case of integer a, b, c, d. So how we will do the same data type means a, b, c, like this we are doing, is it? Yeah, here we are using the comma. Then semicolon we are using to terminate each Java statement. System.out.println. You are just giving a message and inside this double quotes whatever message you can give, then terminate with the semicolon. Then dot is an operator, that's a period operator or dot operator to access the value. Do you remember in the previous one? Just now we have discussed about the method, how we will access this non-static methods to static. We are creating an object we are creating an object, consider object name is ob dot a. Like this we have access, this is equal to 5. Like this value if we are giving means this is the dot operator we are using. So these are the different types of tokens in Java. It supports 5 types of tokens. These are these. Then the next one is operators. Sorry, it's not enough. Finish. It's not finished. Second one, fifth one is the operators. Operators means different types of operators that are supported by the Java programming language, and the very first one is the arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators means for the simple addition, multiplication, division, these all we are using these arithmetic operators. And here you have to consider only 2 points, very important too. You should remember division is using for the quotient, and modulus we are using to get the value remainder. So example, 4 divided by 2 means what is the value of 4 divided by 2? Yes, we got the quotient as 2. You have to write the quotient 2. Then 4 modulus 2 means what is the value of 4 modulus 2? We will get the remainder as 0. So for this case we are using division and modulus operators. The next one is the relational operator, that is a comparison operator. If any condition we need to check means we will use like this, if a greater than b. A greater than b. In this case we are using a relational operator, that is a comparison operator, and double equal to also is a relational operator. The next one is a logical operator. Logical operator means, and the above relational operators, it will return true or false in the form of answers in the form of true or false. Logical operator is used to perform logical operations. The expression which is composed of 2 or more relational expression, that is known as logical expression or compound expression. In that some examples like this, if we need to check 3 variables, which one is greater, so we will write a greater than b, and we will write like this, is it? Yeah, a greater than c. In this case we will use which operators? Logical operators. So a greater than c in these conditions. Okay, so logical operators are mainly 3. One is logical AND, logical OR, and logical NOT. So logical AND means the same how we have done the truth table for AND operator. AND is indicating by the multiplication or dot operators. Then OR is indicating by the plus operator. So you will get the same answer here also. If you are drawing a truth table for A and B, you will get the same. So first 0, 0, sorry. Yeah, here 0, 0, 0, 1. Sorry, it's not. Okay. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. These are the inputs. So how we will get answers? 0 into 0, 0, 0 into 1, 0, 0 into 1, 1 into 0, 0, 1 into 1, 1. In the case of AND operator. Or in the sense 1, 1, 1. So 1 is indicating true, 0 is indicating false. So if a condition A greater than B and A greater than C, yes, A greater than B means if it is true means it will check AND operator. Yes, if AND means it will Example A greater than B, first one it will check and the value. If it is true means it will give the value as 1. 1 into any value means, if again it will check A greater than C. If it is true, both are true, yes, 1 into 1 means true. So it will give the true value, okay. The same process. The next one is the increment and decrement operator. Increment and decrement has two versions. One is prefix and postfix. Prefix means first one is the pre-increment or pre-decrement. It has a rule change than use. Change than use means first we need to increase the value, later we need to use the value. Example, here in this one example, a equal to 5. Then what is the value of plus plus a? Automatically it will increase. Plus plus a means what is the function of pre-increment? Change than use. So value of a is 5, it is increased by 1. So now the value of a is updated as 6. So it will use the value here. So 6 is the value. In the case of post increment, this is not decrement, it is increment. Sorry, here post increment in the sense use then change. If the value of a equal to 5, then a plus means it will use the value. What value it has assigned? 5. So it will use the value. Then only after the execution it will change as 6 in the memory, okay. The next one is a conditional operator. Instead of if else, we can use this conditional operator. If a greater than b, we need to display the value b, else we need to display a, means this is the statement we will use in the case of if else. The same we will use in the conditional operator, means you can give a greater than b, then question mark b. If it is true means b should display, false means C should display. So if it is true means it will execute the first statement. If it is false means it will execute after the colon statement. This operator is known as conditional operator. Question mark with the colon. You can see like this, question mark with the colon. So this is conditional operator. The next one is the assignment operator. Assignment operator is equal to, here you need to identify the difference between two equal to. First one is a double equal to, second one is a single equal to. Single equal to means assign a value, like we are assigning a variable, integer a equal to 5. So the value 5 is assigned to the variable a, that is initialization process. So using the assignment operator we are initializing. Then double equal to means it's comparing the value. It's checking is it equal or not. So we need to check like the value of a equal to 5 and we are checking like the value of a is equal to 5, yes or no. So this is comparison operator, comparing the value, checking the equality of the values, okay. Then the next one is the shortened assignment operator. That is a combination of arithmetic and arithmetic and assignment operator. That's why it is not a shortened assignment operator. Any other operators also we can add like greater than or equal to that also, but mainly we will use this arithmetic operator. So plus equal to means how we have to write it. For example, a plus equal to 5. We can assign, this is a shortened assignment operator. So instead of a equal to a plus 5, we are writing a plus equal to 5. Okay. The same cases for another multiplication, division, everything. Then shift operators that used for bit manipulation, we are using the shift operators. The shift operators like this, double arrows like this. These are the shift operators. The next one is the bitwise operator. The same logical operator we have discussed same here, but bit handling only in the case of bitwise operator. Single ampersand, single or, then this XOR operator and this complement operator. So XOR is these are comes under the unary operators, is it? Yeah, operators are always classified in the 3 types: unary operator, binary operator, and ternary operator. Unary in the sense only one operand we are using. Binary in the sense at least two operand will be there, and ternary means 3 operands. So all of you know what is operand and operator, is it? Operand in the sense that variables or the values. Example 3 plus 4 means what are the operands? 3 and 4 are operands. What is the operator? Plus is the operator. Okay. So then last one is a square bracket, that already we told. A square bracket is indicating as the arrays, declaration of arrays, creating array, accessing arrays. Then this next one is a type conversion. So that we will look inside the bracket, we are just declaring a variable, sorry, not declaring, just writing a data type, then it is indicating the type conversion operator, type operator. New operator creates a new object or new array. For new array also we are using this new operator. The next, data type. Data type means that is representing the type of data. It is divided mainly two types. One is primitive data type, another one is a reference data type. Primitive, otherwise known as intrinsic data type or fundamental data type. Reference is otherwise known as composite data type, user defined data type, or non-primitive data type. So primitive data types means which automatically loads in the memory when the Java program runs. That is known as primitive data type. It is classified into, mainly classified into four types. One, integer data type. Second one is a floating type. Third one is a character, and fourth one is a boolean. And this integer is again classified into four: byte, int, short, long. Okay. Floating means it's divided into two types. One is float, another one is double. Character means it is indicating in a single keyword, char. Boolean is represented by the boolean keyword. One byte is represented by 1 byte. The size of the byte means only 1 byte. 1 byte equal to how many bits? 8 bits. Then integer means how many bits are allocated, or how many bytes are allocated. 4 bytes are allocated. 8 into 4, 32 bits. Then short means 2 bytes are allocated. 2 bytes are allocated, so 16 bits are using for short data type. Long means 8 bytes are allocated, so it is 64. 8 into 8, 64 bits are allocated for long. For float, 4 bytes are allocated. Double, 8 bytes are allocated. 4 bytes means again 32 bits. 8 bytes means 64 bits for double. Then character means 2 bytes are allocated. 2 bytes means 2 bytes means 16 bits are allocated. Boolean, in the case, Boolean is the special one because it having only one or true or false. Is it yes or no answer, 0 or 1? The size of the Boolean is 1 byte, but it uses only 1 bit. So these are the different 8 primitive data. Thus it comes as 8. 8 means byte, int, short, long, float, double, character, char, and boolean. So mainly 8 primitive data types are there. Have to learn this data type along with the sizes. Then second one is the reference or non-primitive data type. These are the data types formed from the primitive data type, or these are the derived data types because these are derived from the primitive data types. Okay. And a non-primitive data type is otherwise known as reference data type or user-defined or composite data type. Data type is used to store the memory address of an object. That's why it is reference data type or non-primitive data type. Then examples, class, object, interface, these are the different reference. Okay, the next one is scanner class. It's providing interactive input to program. So scanner class is an easier and simpler way to obtain input during execution. Scanner class is in java.util package. When we are using the program scanner class, writing the class statement scanner means we will use the first statement as import java.util. Is it the same? So it's scanner class is in java.util package, allows the user to read values of various data type. That's why we are writing importing that particular package, util java.util package we are importing. That is the very first line of our program code. Then we can write in either way, import java.util.scanner semicolon or import java.util.scanner semicolon or import java.util semicolon. And all of you know how to create the object for scanner class. Scanner is equal to new scanner system.in. That is the statement we are giving to read through in keyboard. That means we must, for that we must initialize the scanner object as what we told now. Scanner object name equal to new scanner system.in. Once initialized through scanner class or scanner object, we can read any other data type values like integer, long, float, character, string, any values we can access. So next, we just assume scanner sc is the object I have created here. Sc is the object name. So scanner sc equal to new scanner of system.in we have created, and if you want to read an integer value, how will you use sc dot next int of semicolon. So here sc dot next int of, we are accessing that method in next int of by using the dot operator, is it? Sc dot next int of, this method is used to read an integer value, next float of to read a floating value, double the same. Next of means it is used to read a string data value. String means we can use the data method next of, that is next method. If it is a character means we can use a method like next of dot caret of 0. A should be capital at of 0th position. That means there is no direct method to read next character of like next int of. That's why we are reading that particular word as string. Then we are extracting the first character, only the first character as a character. That's why we are using as a method sc dot next of dot caret of 0. This is the method, or this is the statement we will use to read a character value. Scanner breaks input into tokens using white space as default delimiter. That means default space, white space is there as the default delimiter. Then the resulting tokens may converted into the values of different primitive types that we have mentioned here. sc dot next double of, that means it converted into double data type like that. So scanner breaks input into tokens using the white space. So white space character can be a blank space or tab space or carriage return or end of that file. These all includes as a white space. So the scanner looks for tokens in the input. So scanner belongs to which package? Java.util package. It allows user to input or read the values of different primitive data types. So you know that declaration part and how to read different data values in that scanner class, or using scanner class how we will read the different data values: integer, float, double, string and character. Next is the wrapper classes. Wrapper classes belongs to a package java.lang. It is a part of Java standard library java.lang, very important. Wrapper classes belongs to java.lang package, and it converts the primitive data types in an object. We know, and in the case of reference data type, we know it can be used for creating the objects. Example, array we are creating, or class we are writing. In that class we are creating an object, is it? Yes. So the under the reference data type can be converted or can be written in the name of object. But in the case of primitive data types, we are just declaring a values or 8 primitive like integer a, byte c, like this different data type we are declaring. But we don't know how to convert this primitive data type into an object, or how that value of primitive data type saved in an object. So in that case, we are using the wrapper class. A wrapper class wraps a value of primitive data type in an object. So we can write primitive data types in an object. So data type is indicated in the small letters. We know that primitive data types we are writing in the small letters, and wrapper classes belongs to that particular data type starting with the capital letter. That is the difference, because class, these are the classes. Okay. So boolean must be small, here small letter, this is capital letter. Character, char is the data type, but in the case of wrapper class, we have to write it as a full one, character. Int is a data type, integer is a wrapper class. So when, if a question is which are the data type, which are the classes, means classes with the full words starting with a capital letter means that belongs to wrapper classes, and all small letters indicating as the data type. So the primitive data types are all in the lowercase letters, and wrapper class names first letter is always capital. We can create an object from wrapper class as follows like this. How we can create an object? Example here, I am just creating an object for byte. So byte is the data type. How to create an object for the data type? So byte is the, here this is the wrapper class, b equal to, how we will create an object the same way, new byte of. So by this way, by using the wrapper class, we are creating object for this primitive data types. Okay. Yes. So the wrapper classes wraps a value of primitive data type in an object. And here as an example, actually this is a primitive data type. The primitive data type is initialized and this data type is converted into object, is it? So in that AD object, the value of data type, primitive data type 5.0 is passed as the constructor, passed as the argument in the constructor. And how to access that value? How we will access that value from the wrapper class? Double R AD object name dot a particular method for accessing that values has stored in that object. Which one is that? AD dot double value of. Like this, different data type, different values are there. In the reader you have a tabular column just to go through that. So for converting double value of. So once more, here the data value, primitive data type D is initialized. That D value is passed through the constructor, and creating an object name is known as AD. For that is primitive is converting into object. This primitive is converting into object. Then how we will get that primitive data type value means object name dot another method we have to use double value. This is a data type representing double value of. Using this method we will get that same value 5.0. Primitive data type into object. From here object to primitive data type, how the value is accessing. Using this method the value is accessing. So the next example, consider this is a string variable. str1 equal to double quotes. Inside double quotes 10 values there. So we know this is a string 1. We are initialized. We need to convert this string into integer. For that what we have to do? We have to declare a variable integer a equal to. Do you remember this statement? Integer dot parseIntof. In BufferedReader we will use this statement. The rest you will just learn converting string into integer using this statement. Integer dot parseIntof that particular string variable. Whichever variable we are initialized as a string, that variable we have to pass it here. Example, in some cases some calculation we need to do. We need to read as integer, then we will convert into string. Same, we will read as string, then we will convert into integer like this. 1, 2, 3 is the string value. Actually this is an integer value. We are initialized as a string. I need to convert this string into integer. How to convert a string into integer? Just to declare a value for the result integer r. So how we will convert? Using the method integer dot parseIntof. Integer dot parseIntof. In which variable that value is their string? S1. So parseIntof S1. So this is the method to convert string into integer. In the same way, integer into string how we will do? Integer a equal to 10 we need to convert to the string means string s another variable we are initializing, then integer dot toString of. So toString of is the method we are using to convert integer or any other integer into string, and integer dot parseIntof. Dot parseIntof means we are converting string into integer. Okay, string into integer. So these two methods are very important for 2-mark questions. ToString means we are converting that particular data type into string. ParseInt means we are converting that string into integer data type. So these are the 3 main methods here. One is parseIntof. If it is declared as a string variable, then we are converting into integer by using integer dot parseIntof. If we are declaring a variable as integer and we need to convert into string means integer dot toString of. This is the 2 methods we are using. Type conversion we will do in the next video. This is one lengthy video. So if any doubts means please message me. Thank you.